For 12 years, Jack McDowell was a menace on the major league mound. Never afraid to mix it up, never afraid to brush back an opposing batter. An intimidating presence, Blackjack, as he became known, compiled 127 career wins, made 3 All-Star teams, and was the 1993 American League Cy Young Award recipient. 18 years after his playing career has concluded, Jack McDowell is now the first head coach in Queens baseball history. Jack, welcome. A lot has changed in 2 decades. How have you changed?
Well, you know, the competitive edge that I always had is there. It kind of manifests itself in a little different way these days, I would say. You know, I think most people that come across me on the coaching level now who played with me and haven't seen me for a while would expect me to be a lot different, a lot more hot-headed, a lot more kind of bad cop instead of good cop, but actually I've turned into the other side of it on the coaching end.
What you been up to for the last 18 years? I know you had a brief stint coaching in the minor leagues.
Basically coaching, Some may not know that I was involved in music also. I did a little bit of music right at the end of my career, took my band out for a couple of years, but really came back to baseball coaching my own kids and went from T-ball all the way through high school, stint in pro ball. Now I'm back in T-ball again and machine pitch and all that. And I think just, basically my whole coaching style was developed on dealing with youth baseball and how you get through to kids and how do you get through to different kids who understand things differently.
So coaching college kids now as opposed to coaching youth or professional, and you said you've taken your kids through the years, you've done both. Where does college kids fall into that? How does that equate?
Well, college kids, it's a lot of fun because, you have guys for a handful of years and that's your team. In minor leagues, you can have guys come and go within the season. So it's not like you're building a team chemistry and building a team. And I know the newfangled way of thinking in baseball is that team chemistry is not that big or not that important because it's immeasurable. But anyone who's actually been in a clubhouse that's a positive situation, you know that having a group of guys together to build that type of chemistry equals winning on the field. And so I'm real excited about having a group of kids that you can keep together for a number of years.
You mentioned the term hothead before. For many people, the lasting image of you is a pretty emphatic moment at Yankee Stadium in the mid-'90s in which you chose to express yourself in only the certain way that someone pitching in New York could. I think you told the Yankee fans they were number 1 that day. What's the lasting image for you of your career?
Well, that's one that got a lot of publicity, but most of the ones that are the lasting memories, actually, a lot of them are, you would look at that are on the negative end of my career, meaning a big home run to somebody else that got to celebrate and I had to be a part of it, or in 1995 being the pitcher that got walked off by Edgar Martinez. At the time, that's extremely painful, but now that my career is over and I can take a look back on it, just to be a part of any historical thing that happened is kind of cool. And a lot of times those are positive things. And sometimes they're negative. Sometimes they're negatives to you personally, but then when you can step away, you go, wow, that was me out there doing that. It's kind of cool.
Let's walk through your career. In 1987, you were the 5th overall pick in the first round of the draft out of Stanford. Living up to the expectations, how difficult is that?
You know what? The thing about the Stanford years is when I came in there as a freshman in 1985, by the time I signed in 87, there were already a handful of guys that we played against in the Pac-10 that were in the big leagues. Mm-hmm. I mean, within 2 years. And so right then, hey, you know what? I was hanging with these guys through college, and now they're already in the major leagues. I'm pretty sure I got a chance to do this now. So I think the confidence level that brought by playing in that type of a league with those type of guys at that time was extremely helpful, and at least giving you the idea that maybe you belonged.
You were drafted in 87, and in something that is rare in circumstances today, after 6 minor league appearances, later that year in September, you were called up to the big leagues. So you seem to handle the expectations pretty well. What about today's baseball and the more long, thought-out, nurturing aspect of the minor leagues? What do you make of that?
Well, it's interesting. You can look at it either way. Yeah, guys if you came out of a major college program, you pretty much were shuttled to AA if you were considered a prospect in my years. You were in AA mixing it up with some of the older guys, and they just got you out there because that was kind of the level you were playing at. Now it seems like they go station to station. Very rarely are guys going to skip levels to, it happens occasionally. Guys are going from A ball and bounce up and maybe, go to the big leagues, or guys from AA to the big leagues. But it used to be that they would fire you through and, just a sink or swim time.
Early 90s, you make the All-Star game 3 years in a row. What's that feeling like? First time you walk out on the field and you've now been anointed as one of the best players in the modern game.
Well, there's different levels to your career. When you're a major league player and you walk in your first clubhouse, you look around and you're going, okay, number one, I don't belong here. This is crazy. I've got that guy's card. I've got that guy's card, and it's just I don't understand what I'm doing here. Then you start to get comfortable in that. You start to get comfortable with your teammates, and then they become your teammates. And then you look across the field at the superstars on other teams, and then eventually you're like, okay, well, I get this guy out and this guy out. I know how to do that. And you're going, yeah, in your back of your head, you're forgetting that's future Hall of Famer so-and-so. But walking into the All-Star clubhouse is a similar feeling. You walk in and you're looking around going, okay, this is like a bunch of Hall of Fame guys here. This is crazy. What am I doing here? The first time you're there, and then you keep going, you get a little more comfortable, but it's a progression. Every little step you make there is a progression.
When does that moment hit then that by the latter portion of your career, you're on the other side of it? There are young guys coming in who've idolized you, looked up to you, and had your baseball card they were playing games.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy when, the one part of my career that I kind of missed out on was the tail end of that, of being the older veteran who has changed his game and all that. The end of my career came fairly quickly, and I wasn't really allowed to have the long-standing veteran career that some other guys have had.
Who's the best player you ever played with?
No, that's tough because there's so many guys played with and played against. Your son Carlton Fisk was the Hall of Famer. Tim Raines now a Hall of Famer. Frank Thomas Hall of Famer. Those are all guys that I played with. Don Mattingly, Wade Boggs. I can keep going. The years that we were there, that I was there, basically the entire Cleveland Indians team was the All-Star team when I was there for 2 years, and it was a lot of guys.
Let's put it this way then. Who's the toughest batter that you ever faced? The one guy you just couldn't figure out that you faced multiple times?
The one guy I could never figure out was Robbie Alomar.
Really?
Another Hall of Famer. For whatever reason, it didn't matter what their team needed. When he was with Toronto, if they needed a single, he'd get a single. He'd hit my nastiest split that was going to bounce off his foot, he'd get a single. If they needed 2 runs, he'd take me deep. It just was one of those things where he was always a step ahead of me. And the funny thing was, I finally got him out a couple times when I went to the Cleveland Indians. It just so happened his brother was catching, Sandy Alomar. And I told Sandy, I said, I can't get Robbie out. He said, I got it. Just follow me and let's do it. And all he did was throw down number 1. Fastball, fastball, fastball. We just kept going with fastballs almost to confuse him. And I ended up getting him out because he was so smart and such an instinct player that when you're trying to be tricky with him in pitching, he was always a step ahead of you. Kind of knew where you were going, and Sandy recognized that. And Sandy was like, he'll just throw all fastballs. He's not going to know what hit him.
So you go fastball, fastball, fastball after a Hall of Famer, and all this breaking stuff you work on. I guess it just goes.
Yeah, you get some guys are smart. You got to stop trying to trick them.
Yeah.
You got to sometimes pitch dumb, and they don't know. And I've gone into certain at bats where I just go to a guy and I'm just going to throw a split finger fastball every single pitch till this at bat is done. I might walk him, I might strike him out, he might hit a home run, but I'm just throwing it every single pitch because I used to look at that and go, okay, he's going to see this at bat. You know how many at bats it's going to take him to get comfortable again at what I'm trying to do to get him out? So I would do that just to completely confuse guys when they'd go, look, he threw me 7 straight splits. What is the deal? What's going on? And then I got him for the next however many at bats.
Were you ever teammates with Robbie Alomar?
No, it was never teammates.
Okay.
No.
So any of those guys that you later talked to, what did they say about you? when they did, after facing you, finally maybe be a teammate of yours or see you? What was their word about
Not
you?
not much on the pitching end, you know. I was fiery and intense and, you know, like to show my emotions, you know, a little more than a lot of the guys do these days. So it was funny because one of my best friends on the White Sox was Robin Ventura. And he would tell me all the time, guys would get to third base and go, "Hey, what's up with McDowell?" and he would just go, "Nothing. He's crazy when he gets on the mound, but he's a really good guy. He's a good guy, man. You'd like him." So they're always like wondering what was going on. So
when you were growing up as a young pitcher in Southern California as a kid, or maybe when you got to the big leagues and you looked around and you saw the talent that was your contemporaries, who's the one pitcher you admired the most?
I always like watching Roger Clemens, power guy, and, you know, was dominant, went after people, and that was kind of my guy at the time, watching him go. And he wasn't too far ahead of me. You know, he's only a few years ahead of me, but that was kind of the guy that I like to look at.
300 wins, 3,000 strikeouts.
Yeah, and just like, you know, basically he was either the Cy Young or the runner-up basically every year of his career.
Greatest accomplishment in your career? You've had all-star selections, the Cy Young Award. You've been a part of division championship teams. You were a part of a College World Series championship team at Stanford. Greatest accomplishment?
The last one you just said, the College World Series championship.
What's different about going to Omaha? It just seems that all the professional baseball players that I've talked to, and I've talked to a few, they all say it's never the same as capturing that moment as a kid and the camaraderie of college baseball. What's different about it in your eyes?
Well, it's what we spoke about earlier is you have a group of guys that are together, and you know you're going to be together for a number of years trying to accomplish something. That doesn't happen in professional baseball. You have a core of guys, but, you know, it used to really frustrate me when at the trading deadline we'd go and get somebody. Because I'd be like, you know, in professional baseball, I'd be like, oh, no, those guys aren't part of the team. We're the team. We've been here for 5 months. And that's just always was my mentality. And so the greatest accomplishment, winning the College World Series, is because that was the only time in my career when you could say that there's nothing else to accomplish. You know, you can win a Cy Young. Great. I won a Cy Young. I lost 10 games that year, you know. So I could have been better. I made all-star teams. I could have been better than that. You know, I never won a World Series in the major leagues, and that would have definitely topped, you know, what I did in college. But college was the only time when I got to stand back and go, we're on this hill here, and there's nothing else to accomplish in a year. And that's basically the goal that I'm going to be pushing towards my players coming into Queens. There's only one goal, and that's to win a championship.
Do professional baseball players, from what you've gathered, feel similarly to you? Because in today's day and age, it's as if you don't make a deadline deal, you're giving up a chance at a championship. Look recently, just a few weeks ago with the trade deadline, the Dodgers, the best team in baseball record-wise, had to make a move. They did, went and got a pitcher. Yankees are up there. They made a couple of moves. It's almost as if you're being passed if you don't make a deadline move.
Well, absolutely, and that's the difference. That's my mentality versus how the major leagues works. You know, that just is the way I liked it. I liked having a group of guys at the beginning and go get them. Let's see who's the last man standing. That's kind of always been my my motivating factor. I always said it. You know, it'd be the most fun way to run baseball. Put the starting pitchers out there, and you have to finish the game. Let's see who's the last man standing. You know, that's just kind of the way I like competition.
That's a good way to do it. We should propose that rule change.
When we start the Arena League, we can come up with all kinds of crazy rules.
The Cy Young Award we were just talking about. Do you still have the award? Where do you keep that?
I do. It's at my house, in my home office.
You're not going to throw it on the desk in your office when you have a kid and come into the office, maybe something happens, and here's my Cy Young. I'm in charge.
No, you know what? My coaching mentality, it's about the kids.
Okay.
You know, I'm going to let them know I'm going to have knowledge to give them, and it's going to be there if they want to pick it up. If they choose not to, you know, what am I going to do about it? Mm-hmm. See, it's time to grow up. When you come to college, it's time to grow up and be a man, and there's going to be knowledge there for them to jump on and be able to improve their skills. And it's not going to be my way or the highway. I don't play that game. I look at individual athletes, look at what they do, what they want to do, what works for them, and you try to figure out, you know, hey, what part of this do we keep? What part of it don't we keep? I don't change people very often. I'm going to teach them how to maximize what they do.
What you just said about your Roman gladiator style of pitching, I think you truly embodied as a player. In 1991, 15 complete games. In a season that led the league, a lot of pitchers barely do that in a career. The following year, 1992, 13 complete games. In 12 years, 62 complete games as a starting pitcher. I imagine that's something you pride yourself on. Why, I guess, has the game changed?
I don't know why the game's changed. You know, I know the idea behind why the game's changed was to protect arms, to hopefully prolong careers. But it's been about a 30-year transition towards what they're doing now, actually a little bit more, when they went from a 4-man rotation to a 5-man rotation in the 70s. That was the first big change as to hopefully extending careers and doing all that and getting rid of injuries and all that. But anybody who pays close attention, and I don't understand why the baseball world isn't paying closer attention, there are more injuries now and careers are not being prolonged. And why are we not figuring out what these reasons are? I think I know the ideas behind what is happening, the conditioning ideas and the changes that have been made that actually have not benefited the modern athlete. And so hopefully that's what I'm going to bring into Queens, and we're going to get guys through healthy. And you know, that is what I'm hoping to do with our pitchers, is get them in the position to be able to withstand a season and not have guys falling left and right like all these other places do, including professional baseball, and you know, establish that, hey, something special's going on here at Queens. Why don't we figure out what it is and, you know, kind of bring that to the forefront of baseball.
You're not a big pitch count guy. Why is that?
The pitch count is the most unscientific, ridiculous thing that's come through baseball in a long time. Just a simple, I could sit there and talk about pitch counts forever, but magically guys get to a certain number of pitches that they throw on the mound that day. Well, who counted their warm-up throws or how many long toss throws they did before that? Nobody.
No one.
Okay, no one. The end. Pitch count's done. Just based on that. I could go to 15 other different things that make it the most unscientific, ridiculous thing that has come into baseball in a long, long time. But just the fact that no one counts pre-game pitches off the mound, and no one counts how long guys long toss for as how much work they've put in that day. It's just the pitches on the mound. That'll give you how ridiculous it is.
Everyone has a different routine. Some throw long toss 200 yards across the outfield to warm up. Some just go right to the bullpen.
I used to walk from the dugout to the bullpen to warm up for the game, throw about 10 pitches, have the catcher get down, throw my pregame and go. Guys nowadays will throw 20 minutes, you know, stretch out, long toss, throw full out, long toss for 5 minutes, and then throw a bunch of pitches on the mound also. And no one counts those. But magically, if we both were pitching against each other and got to the 100 pitch limit, you know, wow, everyone has to start warming up now, you know, because we need someone to come in because they're at 100 pitches. Well, it doesn't make any sense at all.
So, if I understand correctly, it's almost as if the inability to go further in games, the lack of building up a strength in an arm, in your eyes, is almost what leads to this arm injury epidemic.
Absolutely.
Do I have that right?
Absolutely. It's guys aren't prepared enough on the front end to even start going off the mound, and that's something I'll be addressing right away. My pitchers who come in this year, they're not going to get on a mound for at least 4 weeks. At least 4 weeks of me training them and getting them ready to do it, and then we're gonna do the program that I have set up and go to work.
So you have a system in place different than what we're used to seeing in professional ball, probably.
Absolutely.
And you're going to follow it.
Absolutely.
Let me play devil's advocate for one moment. In Japan, they tend to load innings and pitches on pitchers. And just about every big-time Japanese pitcher who's come over, who's signed, Yu Darvish, Daisuke Matsuzaka, Masahiro Tanaka, all of those guys have had Tommy John surgery somewhere early in their careers. Disprove that.
Well, early in their major league careers.
A year or 2, 3 years in.
And here's the difference in that. Isn't Japanese baseball on a 7-day rotation where big leagues is on a 5-day? That's a big change, number one. Number two, once these guys come to the major leagues and they realize how much different these lineups are, top to bottom, you start throwing a lot more strained pitches, and so, yeah, you know, they end up putting a lot more torque on it than they have to, throwing a lot more breaking pitches, and doing all that. But just the difference from a 7-day to a 5-day, that's a big change. Yeah. That's a big change. So you're going to have to change the way that you go about things to do that as well.
Should baseball do something then about the seams on the baseball, make them higher, easier for a pitcher to grip, maybe less stress, less torque when throwing a breaking pitch? Should they raise the mound back up to give a pitcher an advantage? How do you cure the arm epidemic?
Nothing's changed. The only thing that has changed is the limitation of pitchers. Yeah. It's the only thing that's changed over time. It's not the mound, the ball, any of that. It's the training and the limitation has all changed. And where is that getting us? It's getting us more injuries at earlier ages, and all that's happening is people do all these fake studies and say, well, this is why, this is why, this is why, and so we're going to limit, and we're going to have pitch count limits and this and that, and it's not working. That's not working. It's simple.